One of the core practices that we do as Buddhists is trying to really understand and bring into our heart um, the fact that all of us, without fail, want happiness and want to try to avoid suffering or pain. And we also are trying to comprehend with our practice that our mind is the source of happiness and pain. We also learn during our studies that karma ripens in the mental factor of feeling, and that our experiences throughout the day, every day, throughout our lives, usually categorized into pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, depending on how they make us feel, what kinds of feelings arise in our mind as a result of those experiences. Now, we all know that pain is a very unpleasant experience. And there are degrees of unpleasantness. When you go to the doctor's office or the emergency room, they usually ask you to rate your pain from 1 to 10. 1 being nothing, 10 being I'm about to pass out. Because of that, because of the fact that we all want happiness and we all try to avoid unpleasant situations, we feel a very strong aversion towards pain. And so I've had a 34 plus years history with pain, having had migraines since very early on in either my 20s or my late teens, somewhere around there. So this chronic pain does produce a lot of aversion in my mind. And I would like to share just a little bit about how I work with it. Now, this is not to take the place of medical advice. We all know that if something is going wrong with us, going to see the doctor is the first step towards healing and recovery. So this is not to take the place of that. And also, if you have a physician and they are prescribing you medication, please take it. But what I want to talk about is the mental component of the experience. Because the pain arises in the mind, and therefore if we work with the mind, we have a way to affect our experience of the pain. So what I have found in observing myself during these bouts of migraine is that there are two things going on in my mind at the time. The first is, of course, the experience of pain, but right alongside of that, there is the experience of aversion to the pain. I want to get rid of this pain, and I want to get rid of this pain now. So over a period of time of observing myself and meditating and trying to figure out how to work with my mind, what I discovered is that this aversion that I feel is very strong, it's automatic. It's only observable if we stop and look at it. But this aversion makes my mind very tight. It's the first thing that happens with the onset of the pain is the aversion and then the tightness of the mind. But alongside the tightness of the mind comes the tightness of the body as well. So not only is the pain happening, but it's also the mind is tight, and every other part of the body gets also tight as a result of the aversion reaction. With the mind tight and the body tight, the feel of the pain increases. The experience of the pain gets a lot worse. with prolonged pain and repeated bouts of chronic pain without addressing this mental component, then I noticed that my mind has a tendency to go into despondency, despair, frustration, all of which also then combine to make the pain worse and the experience of the pain worse. There's also a tendency to feel that, poor me, why is this happening to me? And going to some downward spiraling of my overall mood, which then affects everything else that I do, how I interact with people, how I feel about myself, how I feel about my life and what I do. So I felt the imperative of having to work with my mind as a way to address how I work with this pain. So one of the things that I do that is very helpful is I go into some sort of quiet space, mental quiet space, where I can actually work on accepting the pain, where I can actually work on embracing the pain. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to go to the doctor, we're not going to seek other avenues of healing, because there are a lot of modern therapies that address all kinds of physical elements, including migraines. But again, this only pertains to working with our mind. And so when I go into this quiet space and I work on accepting my pain, I am working with the mind's tendency to flee from the pain, to disconnect and dissociate with it, to not want to do anything with it. So what I do is I in a determined way, go into where the pain is. With my mind, I approach the pain and I focus on the locus of the pain. And I try to feel that pain without aversion, but with acceptance, with kindness, with compassion, with a certain degree of joy in that, okay, I am able to feel this pain and I am overcoming, therefore, all of the negativity that goes around and negative feelings that go around this pain. Then I try, once I accept the pain, once I am close to the pain and I feel the pain, then I try to gladden my mind. Because gladdening my mind at that moment sort of also undercuts this experience of, this is a bad thing. This is a bad thing that I need to move away from as quickly as possible. So I gladden my mind in a number of ways. I think of the Buddhas. I paint smiley faces on wherever the pain is taking place. I imagine that the compassion and the light of the Buddhas is coming to the place where it hurts. And I try to relax my body. I try to just, as I'm thinking of this and imagining all of these beautiful things that are happening where it hurts, then my body relaxes and my mind relaxes, and the experience of the pain becomes more tolerable, more workable. In fact, when I am in this type of meditation, or basically in any other type of meditation as well, the pain is almost okay, so word is almost I cannot feel the pain in some instances when I am doing this type of work. Of course, when I stop doing that type of work, the pain returns. It's not that the pain leaves. However, at the end of that work, then I can live with the pain. I can work with the pain. My experience of the pain has changed because of how I've dealt with it in this way. So there are other things that work, which we all know based on what our teachers have taught us, thinking about impermanence, doing Tonglen, which I really enjoy doing Tonglen. So those are also things that help, that really make the experience more virtuous, and it transforms the pain into a virtuous experience. But for me, when I am in the what's the word that I'm looking for? When I'm in the middle of the pain, before I can even work with these other things, I have to attend to that acuteness. I have to attend to that sharpness, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to be as effective with all the other meditations. So then I do this work first, and then I have more space in my mind to work with the other methods that we are taught. Anyway, that's all I wanted to share today, with the hopes that it might help anyone who is in the same situation. But please go to the doctor and get some medical help and advice.
This is a comment or a question. I can resonate with what you've said. I think I have a similar experience, although a different condition. And one thing that I was thinking about while you were talking is how one of the problems with having pain, like I would say the way when I'm not hadn't worked with it well, my body would start to feel like a prison. Mm-hmm. And it really, I realized that being able to do what you just described, even if I do it slightly differently, gives me a ability to have some control in the situation. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of one of the problems that drives up the anxiety and then the pain, because you feel out of control, like your body is just doing this, and you're a prisoner, you're stuck in this prison. I don't know if you have anything to say about control.
Being at the mercy of the pain, really. It's like the pain takes over, and it has the potential, if unaddressed, just to take over my life and to dictate what I do and what I don't do. And there's a part of me that doesn't quite want to surrender to the pain in that way. And so, so I work with it so that it does not, or so that it interferes as little as possible with everything else that I would like to do. Certainly there are times when that is not possible. There are times when we all need to pay attention to our body and take care of our body. But I say that for me, a great percentage of the time, this practice, this technique, helps me be more active than I would otherwise be if I didn't do it. Because then I am not surrendering to the pain. I'm accepting it, and my body, in accepting that, then my body is much less. My mind is much less obstructed from it. If that is even understandable, but I know I understand what that means for me. Thank you.